Get your black hands off my desk. Stanley Walker freezes. 68 years old. 14 years cleaning this building. Not a single complaint. Derek Callahan towers over him. CEO, tailored suit, diamond watch worth $45,000. My Patek Philippe is missing. You people see something shiny, you can't help yourselves. His lip curls. Empty your pockets. Now. Stanley's belongings scatter across the marble. A worn wallet. A photo of his wife. A lunch container. No watch. No diamonds. A security guard films on his phone. An analyst whispers, "Never trust the help." Someone laughs. Callahan leans close. Did you think a black janitor could steal from me? Know your place, old man. The elderly man stands alone, surrounded by expensive suits and cold silence. But what none of them know, the man they just humiliated, is the board chairman's father. And in 72 hours, the CEO will be begging him for mercy. Stanley Walker arrives at Cornerstone Capital Partners every night at 11. He parks his 12-year-old Honda in the garage basement, takes the service elevator to the 3rd floor, and begins his rounds. The building rises 38 stories above Chicago's Loop District. Glass and steel, Italian marble in the lobby, the kind of address that whispers money before anyone speaks. Stanley doesn't whisper. He works. Tonight, like every night, he starts with the break rooms. Coffee stains on countertops, crumbs in the sink. The sharp smell of industrial cleaner fills his nostrils as he sprays, wipes, moves on. His mop bucket squeaks against the linoleum. The fluorescent lights hum overhead. He's 68 years old, 14 years at this job. His employee file, buried somewhere in HR's database, reads like a blank page. 0 incidents, 0 complaints, 0 recognition. That's fine with Stanley. Recognition was never the point. The point waits for him at home. Eleanor, 66 years old, heart condition that requires monthly medication. She's sleeping now, probably curled on her side of the bed, the way she's slept for 40 years of marriage. Stanley carries her photo in his wallet. It's the only photo there. Taken at their son's college graduation, 23 years ago. Eleanor's smile, Stanley's hand on her shoulder, their boy between them, cap and gown, eyes bright with the future. Their boy did well. Better than well. But Stanley doesn't talk about that. Marcus Brown pushes his cart around the corner. 52. 8 years at Cornerstone. The closest thing Stanley has to a friend in this building. Stanley? Marcus nods. You hear about the new CEO, Callahan? Stanley shrugs. I clean his office, don't know the man. Word is he's got a temper, fired 2 assistants last month. Not my business. Marcus grins. You ever talk about anything? Stanley almost smiles. I talk about work. Speaking of which, he wheels his cart toward the elevator. Floor 12 tonight. Supply closets, conference rooms, the long hallway nobody walks after 6. The building breathes differently at night. During the day, it's all footsteps and phone calls and the low roar of ambition. Now, silence. The hum of ventilation. The distant ping of an elevator nobody's riding. Stanley likes the quiet, always has. He passes a window and catches his reflection. Gray uniform, gray hair. A man designed to be invisible. That's fine too. Invisible means nobody bothers you. Nobody asks questions. Nobody expects you to be anything other than what you are. A janitor, a husband, a father. Someone in the company once asked him about family. A young analyst, working late, making small talk while Stanley emptied her trash. You have kids, Mr. Walker? Stanley had paused. 1. A son. What does he do? He does well. That was it. That was all. The analyst never asked again. Now Stanley checks his watch, 1:45 a.m. 45. One more floor, then home. Eleanor will be awake by 6, and he likes to be there when she takes her morning pills. He rolls his cart to the service elevator. The doors open. He steps inside. The radio on his belt crackles to life. Security. Walker, we need you on 38, executive floor, now. Stanley frowns. He doesn't work the executive floor on Tuesdays. Different rotation. Copy. On my way. The elevator rises. The numbers climb. Stanley doesn't know it yet, but he's ascending toward the end of everything he's known. Floor 38. The doors open. And Derek Callahan is waiting. The executive floor smells different. Leather and oak and something else. The faint residue of expensive cologne. The lights are dimmer here, designed for ambiance rather than function. Marble floors gleam under recessed fixtures. Stanley steps off the elevator. 2 security guards stand near the corner office. Between them, a man in a tailored suit. Derek Callahan, 42 years old, CEO for 8 months. The kind of face you see on business magazines. Sharp jaw, sharper eyes. Right now, those eyes are red. His tie is loose. His hair is slightly disheveled, like he's been running his hands through it. You, Callahan points. You're the janitor assigned to this floor tonight? Stanley shakes his head. No, sir. I work 12 tonight. Security called me up. You were here earlier. I saw you. I wasn't scheduled for 38, sir. Callahan's voice rises. Don't lie to me. Someone was here. Someone took it. Stanley stands still. He's learned that stillness often works better than words. Took what, sir? Callahan steps closer. He's taller than Stanley by half a foot, younger by 26 years. His breath smells like whiskey and stress. My watch. Patek Philippe, diamond bezel, 36 stones. You know what that's worth? Stanley doesn't answer. $45,000. Callahan's voice drops to something more dangerous than shouting. It was on my desk 2 hours ago. Now it's gone, and you're the only one who's been on this floor. I wasn't on this floor, sir. Open your bag. Stanley looks at the security guards. Neither meets his eye. He looks back at Callahan. Sir, I didn't take anything. Then you won't mind proving it. Open the bag. Silence. The ventilation hums. Somewhere below, the city breathes on without knowing. Stanley kneels. He unzips his work bag slowly. Callahan doesn't wait. He grabs it, upends it, dumps the contents onto the marble floor. A worn wallet lands with a soft slap. The photo of Eleanor slides out, her smile facing the ceiling. A lunch container rolls to a stop. Some tools, a small flashlight, nothing else, no watch, no diamonds. Callahan stares at the pile. His jaw tightens. Check his pockets. Stanley rises. His hands don't shake from fear. They shake from control. 14 years of yes, sir, and no problem. Tonight, he swallows one more. He empties his pockets. Keys, a few dollars. A receipt from the gas station. Nothing. Callahan's face twists. You hid it. Somewhere in this building. We'll find it. Sir, I didn't. People like you. Callahan leans in. His voice is quiet now, almost intimate. You see something shiny, something with diamonds, and you can't help yourself. You think no one's watching. But I'm watching. Stanley says nothing. He looks straight ahead, past Callahan, past the guards, at nothing at all. One of the guards finally speaks. Sir, we should file a report. Get this documented. Callahan straightens, adjusts his tie. The moment of rage passes into something colder. Document everything. I want him out of this building by morning. HR handles the rest. He turns to Stanley. And when we find that diamond watch, and we will, I want you prosecuted. Grand theft. $45,000. He walks toward his private elevator. The doors open. He steps inside. Just before they close, he adds, 14 years means nothing if you're a thief. The doors shut. The elevator descends. Stanley kneels again. Slowly, carefully, he picks up his belongings. The wallet. The photo. He looks at Eleanor's face for 1 second, then slides it back into its place. The security guards watch. One of them opens his mouth, maybe to apologize. Stanley doesn't give him the chance. He zips his bag, stands, and walks to the service elevator. Behind him, the security report is already being written. By 8 a.m., Stanley Walker will be erased from the company's system. But someone else is watching. A woman near the stairwell, half hidden in shadow. Grace Thornton, senior auditor. She saw everything, and she's already thinking. Morning arrives cold, November in Chicago. The wind off Lake Michigan cuts through the downtown canyons like a blade. At 8:04 a.m., Linda Crawford, HR director, 18 years at Cornerstone, sends an email. Subject line, immediate action required. Walker, Stanley. The body is brief. Effective immediately, Stanley Walker is suspended pending investigation into theft allegations. Badge access revoked. No entry to premises until further notice. There is no investigation. There is only the email. By 9:32 a.m., Stanley's badge stops working. The system logs the exact moment. Badge ID number 7821, S. Walker. Access revoked. 09/32/17 CST. 14 years of clean swipes, ending in a single database command. By noon, the story has spread through the building. Did you hear? The old janitor stole the CEO's watch. $45,000. Diamond encrusted. Always the quiet ones, right? Nobody asks Stanley for his side. Nobody checks the facts. The story is too good, too simple, too satisfying. Rich man victimized by hired help. Classic tale. Easy to believe. In the executive dining room, Derek Callahan mentions the unfortunate incident to 3 board members over lunch. His tone is measured, professional, disappointed. Appropriate action has been taken, he says. HR is handling it. The board members nod. They don't ask questions. Why would they? The CEO said it. That's enough. Meanwhile, at 10:48 p.m., Stanley Walker stands outside the building where he's worked for 14 years. His badge doesn't beep. The turnstile doesn't move. The security guard, a young man Stanley doesn't recognize, shakes his head. Sorry, Mr. Walker. Orders from above. You're not on the access list anymore. Stanley looks up at the tower. 38 floors of glass and steel. Somewhere up there, someone is cleaning the floors he used to clean. Someone else is emptying the trash he used to empty. He turns and walks back to his car. At home, Eleanor is awake. She's waiting in the kitchen, the way she always waits when he's late. You're early, and she frowns. Something wrong? Stanley hangs his coat, takes a breath. They gave me some time off. Company's restructuring. It's not a lie. Not exactly. But it's not the truth either. He can't tell her the truth. Not with her heart. Not with the worry that would follow. Restructuring? Eleanor's eyes narrow. 40 years of marriage have made her an expert in his silences. Stanley. It's fine, Elle. Just some time off. Might be nice, actually. I can drive you to your appointments. She doesn't believe him. He can see it. But she doesn't push. That's Eleanor. She knows when to wait. Okay, she says. Come eat. They eat in silence. The kitchen clock ticks. Outside, the city moves on without them. In the executive suite, Derek Callahan reviews his calendar. Meetings, conference calls, a charity gala on Friday. Life continues. The janitor situation is handled. What Callahan doesn't know, at 2:45 a.m., while Stanley was still being interrogated, Callahan sent an email to HR, not a request, a command. Terminate immediately. No appeal process. I want him out by morning. The diamond watch is worth $45,000. This is grand theft. The email was sent before any investigation, before any evidence review, before anyone checked the security footage or the badge logs or anything else. Derek Callahan didn't want the truth. He wanted a result. That email still exists. Somewhere in the server, it waits. Meanwhile, Marcus Brown pushes his cart through the 12th floor, the route Stanley should be walking. 3 other janitors have asked him about the theft. Marcus said nothing. What could he say? He wasn't there. Except he was in the lobby at 2:15 a.m. that night, 15 minutes after the CEO claimed the watch was stolen. And Marcus saw something. He saw Derek Callahan step out of the executive elevator, adjusting his cuff, and on his wrist, catching the lobby's recessed lighting, something sparkled. Diamonds. Marcus isn't sure. The light was dim. The moment was brief. But he knows what he saw, or thinks he does. He doesn't say anything. Not yet. Jobs are hard to find at 52. Accusations are easy to make and hard to take back. He keeps pushing his cart, keeps his head down, keeps working. But the image stays with him. The sparkle of diamonds on a wrist that should have been bare. Back in her corner office, Grace Thornton pulls up the security system on her monitor. As senior auditor, she has access to the CCTV archives. She's supposed to use it for financial investigations, not personnel matters. She uses it anyway. Camera FL38XX01, executive floor, November 14th. She scrubs through the timeline. 1:47 a.m., 1:48, 1:49. There. Derek Callahan entering his private office. Alone, and on his wrist, catching the overhead light, the unmistakable flash of diamonds. Grace pauses the footage, studies the timestamp, studies the man. Then she opens a new folder on her desktop, names it something innocuous, and begins to download. Harold Walker receives the phone call at 7:15 a.m. on the second day. He's in his home office, a converted sunroom overlooking Lake Forest, 30 miles north of the city. Coffee in hand, Wall Street Journal on the tablet. The ordinary morning of an extraordinary man. His phone buzzes. Thomas Bennett. Board member. Old friend. Harold, we have a situation. Harold sets down his coffee. What kind? Your CEO accused a janitor of theft 2 nights ago. Diamond watch. $45,000. Bennett pauses. The janitor's name is Walker. Silence. Harold, you there? I'm here. It's probably a coincidence, common name, but I thought you should know, given your disclosure. Every board member at Cornerstone Capital Partners files a conflict of interest disclosure. Harold's has a single entry, added 6 years ago when he became chairman. Father, yes, Stanley Walker, contracted janitor, Cornerstone Capital Partners. Nobody ever mentioned it. Nobody ever asked. Why would they? The chairman's father works as a night janitor in the building the chairman oversees. It's unusual. It's private. It's not illegal. I'll be there in an hour, Harold says. He hangs up, stares at the phone. His father, accused of theft. By a CEO Harold himself approved 8 months ago. Harold could make a call right now. End Callahan's career with 3 sentences. The power is there waiting to be used. He doesn't use it. Instead, he showers, dresses, and drives to the city. Takes the private elevator to the 40th floor. Sits in his corner office and begins to read. The security report, the HR email, the badge access logs. The CEO's midnight message demanding termination. Harold reads everything twice. Then he calls his assistant. Set up a board meeting. Friday. Full attendance. Mandatory. May I ask the agenda, sir? No. He hangs up, turns to the window. Chicago spreads below him, steel and glass and 10 million stories. His father cleaned these floors for 14 years. Started when Harold was still a mid-level analyst, before the promotions, before the corner office, before the title that sounds like power and feels like weight. Stanley never asked for help, never mentioned the connection. When Harold offered him a desk job, early retirement, anything else, Stanley refused. I don't need my son to take care of me. I can work. So he worked. Night after night, floor after floor, invisible to everyone except the security guards who nodded hello and the other janitors who shared his coffee breaks. And now this. Harold learned something from his father, years ago, a lesson that stuck. The truth doesn't need help, just time. He's going to give it time. Let the evidence gather. Let the picture complete itself. Because Harold knows something Derek Callahan doesn't. Stanley Walker has never stolen anything in his life. The accusation isn't just wrong, it's impossible, which means someone else is lying. Harold turns from the window, picks up the phone. Get me the IT department. I want a full audit of CCTV access for the past 72 hours. Everyone who's pulled footage from the executive floor, every file, every timestamp. He pauses. And don't tell anyone I asked. The game has changed. Derek Callahan just doesn't know it yet. Grace Thornton has been an auditor at Cornerstone for 6 years. Numbers are her language. Patterns are her obsession. She once caught a vendor skimming $2.3 million through fake invoices. The vendor went to prison. Grace got a promotion. 3 months ago, she found something else. Irregularities in the CEO's expense reports. Cash withdrawals. Payments to unfamiliar accounts. Numbers that didn't add up. She reported it to HR. Standard procedure. Derek Callahan called her into his office the next day. Closed the door. Stood too close. Your job depends on your silence, he said. Do you understand? She understood. She also remembered. Now, watching the footage of an old janitor being humiliated over a diamond watch, Grace decides that silence has a limit. Day 2. 2:14 p.m. Her office door is locked, blinds closed. The CCTV archive loads on her screen. Camera, FL38, XX01. November 14th, 1:47:15 a.m. Derek Callahan walks into frame. He's wearing a dark suit, no tie. His left hand reaches for the door handle. Grace pauses the image, zooms in. There, on his wrist, the Patek Philippe. 36 diamonds catching the overhead light like tiny stars. He was wearing the watch when he entered his office. At 1:47 a.m., 13 minutes before he claimed it was stolen. She resumes playback. Callahan disappears inside. The timestamp advances. 1:48. 1:49. 1:50. At 1:52, he exits. Walks toward the elevator. Grace scrubs back, pauses, zooms again. His wrist is bare. Between 1:47 and 1:52, something happened in that office. The watch went from his wrist to somewhere else. Grace switches to the badge access logs, pulls up Stanley Walker's record for that night. Badge ID number 7821, S. Walker. Floor 12, Janitor Station B, 01:47:22 CST. Stanley was on floor 12 at 1:47. The same moment Callahan entered his office on floor 38, 26 floors apart. The same second. An alibi. Perfect. Unimpeachable. Recorded in the building's own system. Grace saves the data. Screenshots. Downloads. Her USB drive hums quietly on the desk. She moves to email archives. As auditor, she has access to financial correspondence. It takes her 20 minutes to find what she's looking for. From D. Callahan at cornerstonecap.com to HR Director at cornerstonecap.com. Sent, November 14th, 02:45:17 CST. Subject, immediate termination. Walker. Terminate immediately. No appeal process. I want him out by morning. The diamond watch is worth $45,000. This is grand theft. Sent at 2:45 a.m. Before HR reviewed anything. Before security filed their complete report. Before anyone checked a single camera. Callahan wanted Stanley gone. The truth was irrelevant. Grace saves the email, adds it to the folder, but something else is bothering her. The expense report irregularities from 3 months ago. The ones that got her threatened. She pulls up Callahan's personal expenditure file. Access restricted, but auditors have override privileges for active investigations. This isn't an active investigation. Not officially. She accesses it anyway. The numbers tell a story. Cash withdrawals, $15,000 in August, $20,000 in September, $25,000 in October. All from his corporate account, coded as client entertainment. Destination unclear. Until she cross-references the dates with his calendar. Rivers Casino, Chicago's largest gambling complex. Every withdrawal date matches a personal evening blocked on his schedule. Then she finds the email. Buried in his deleted folder, recovered through audit backup. From Collections at Midwest Financial. To D. Callahan at cornerstonecap.com. Sent, November 10th, 09:12:33 CST. Subject, final notice. $120,000 due by end of month. We know where you work. Debt collection, 6 figures. 4 days before the diamond watch disappeared. Grace sits back. The picture is forming. Derek Callahan is drowning in gambling debt. $120,000 owed. Collectors threatening exposure. His diamond watch, $45,000 of portable wealth, is the fastest way to generate cash. But he can't just sell it. People would notice. People would talk. Unless it was stolen. Unless there was a thief. Unless the CEO was a victim, not a suspect. Stanley Walker. 68 years old. No connections. No power. No one to defend him. The perfect scapegoat. Grace stares at the screen. The evidence is there. Clear. Damning. Documented. But evidence disappears. She knows this. Callahan knows this too. She checks the IT activity logs, finds a request submitted that morning. Request from CEO office, archive, delete. CCTV footage, floor 38, November 14th. Priority, urgent, timeline, 24 hours. He's trying to erase it. All of it. Grace's heart beats faster. She has less than 24 hours before the footage is gone. She downloads everything, every file, every timestamp, every frame. The USB drive fills. She removes it, tucks it into her pocket. If this disappears from the server, it won't disappear from here. Night falls. Grace stays late, as usual. But tonight isn't usual. She pulls out her phone. Scrolls to a contact she hasn't used in months. Marcus Brown. The janitor who works Stanley's old floor. She types a message. I need to talk to you. It's about Stanley Walker. It's important. The response comes at 11:47 p.m. I saw something that night. Been trying to decide if I should say anything. Grace's fingers tremble as she types back. Tell me everything. The evidence was clear. Stanley Walker couldn't have stolen that watch. The CEO's own systems proved it. But Callahan wasn't going down without a fight. What happened next nearly destroyed everything. And everyone who tried to stop him. Derek Callahan discovers the breach on day 3. His IT director calls at 9 a.m. Nervous voice, careful words. Sir, someone accessed the CCTV archives from the executive floor multiple times over the past 48 hours. Callahan grips his phone. Who? Grace Thornton, senior auditor. Silence. Then, that bitch. He hangs up, sits in his leather chair, thinks. Grace Thornton. The same woman who questioned his expense reports 3 months ago. The same woman he warned to stay silent. She didn't listen. Callahan pulls up his email, types quickly. From D. Callahan at cornerstonecap.com. To G. Thornton at cornerstonecap. Come sent. November 16th, 09/14/22, CST. Subject, audit priorities. Drop whatever you're doing on the current audit. That's an order. Your performance review is coming up. I expect full cooperation with executive priorities. The threat is thin, deniable, but clear. He sends a second message, this one to IT. Accelerate the archive deletion. Floor 38 footage. I want it gone by end of business today. Then he calls Linda Crawford. HR. The Walker termination. Is it finalized? The paperwork is processing. He's suspended pending. Not suspended, terminated. Today, no appeals, no severance, nothing. Pause. Derek, there's a process. The process is what I say it is. Do it. He hangs up before she can respond. In her office, Grace reads the email. Her hands are steady, but her heart isn't. She knows what this means. Callahan is scared. Scared people make mistakes. Scared people also destroy evidence and ruin lives. She has maybe 8 hours before the footage is erased. Her copies are safe, but she needs more. She needs witnesses. She needs someone else who knows. Her phone buzzes. Marcus Brown. I thought about what you asked. I'll meet you. Coffee shop on Adams. Not inside the building. Tonight, 7 p.m. Grace types back. I'll be there. At 3:15 p.m., Stanley Walker's phone rings. He's at home, sitting in the kitchen, staring at the wall. 3 days of nothing. 3 days of watching Eleanor pretend not to worry. The caller ID shows the hospital. Mr. Walker, this is Northwestern Memorial. Your wife was brought in by ambulance 20 minutes ago. Cardiac event. She's stable, but you should come. Stanley is in his car before the call ends. The drive takes forever and no time at all. Red lights, traffic, the hospital parking garage, the elevator, the ICU. Eleanor lies in a narrow bed, monitors beeping, tubes in her arm. Her face is pale, but her eyes are open. Stanley? Her voice is thin. He takes her hand. It's cool, fragile. The hand he's held for 40 years. I'm here, Elle. I'm here. They said, my heart. The stress. Stanley squeezes her fingers, says nothing. You've been worried, she whispers. I can tell. Something's wrong. Something you're not telling me. He could tell her now. The accusation, the humiliation, the job he's lost. He doesn't. It's nothing. Just work stuff. You focus on getting better. She doesn't believe him. He can see it in her eyes, but she's too tired to argue. Okay, she says. Stay with me? Always. He pulls a chair to her bedside, sits, watches the monitors blink. His career is gone. His reputation is destroyed. His wife is in the hospital. And somewhere in a tower 30 miles away, the man responsible is trying to erase the proof. Stanley doesn't know about Grace Thornton, doesn't know about the downloaded footage, doesn't know about Marcus Brown's testimony. He knows only this. He's 68 years old, and the world has decided he's a thief. Meanwhile, through official channels, Derek Callahan releases a statement through his attorney. These allegations regarding Mr. Callahan are baseless. The CEO is confident that the truth will prevail and that the missing property will be recovered. He has cooperated fully with building security and HR protocols. The statement says nothing about evidence, nothing about timestamps, nothing about the email sent at 2:45 a.m. demanding termination before any investigation. It doesn't need to. In the court of corporate opinion, Derek Callahan is the victim. For now. At 7 p.m., Grace Thornton sits in a coffee shop on Adams Street. The door opens. Marcus Brown walks in. He looks tired, nervous, older than his 52 years. He sits across from her, doesn't order anything. "I saw him," Marcus says. That night, 2:15 a.m., the CEO came down to the lobby. Grace leans forward. And? He was wearing the watch, the diamond one. I remember because it caught the light. Marcus swallows. He said it was stolen at 2 a.m., but I saw it on his wrist 15 minutes later. Grace pulls out her phone. Will you say that officially? On record? Marcus hesitates. His job, his pension, his family. Then he thinks of Stanley. 14 years, 0 complaints. Treated like a criminal. Yes, Marcus says. I'll say it. The ICU is quiet at midnight. Only the beeping of monitors, the soft footsteps of nurses, the occasional whisper of a ventilator down the hall. Stanley hasn't moved from Eleanor's bedside. His back aches. His eyes are dry. But he stays. She wakes around 2 a.m., the same hour 3 nights ago, when everything fell apart. Stanley. Her voice is stronger now. You're still here. Where else would I be? She studies his face. 40 years of reading his silences. She knows something is broken. Tell me, she says. He could lie. He's been lying for 3 days. But here, in this room, with the machines keeping rhythm and the city asleep outside, he can't. They accused me of stealing. The words come slowly. A watch. The CEO's diamond watch. They said I took it. Eleanor's hand tightens on his. I didn't take anything, Elle. I never even saw it. I know. They fired me. Well, suspended. Same thing. 14 years, and they threw me out like garbage. Eleanor is quiet for a moment. The monitor beeps. What are you going to do? Stanley shakes his head. What can I do? I'm 68. No lawyer, no money, no proof I didn't do it. Just my word. And my word doesn't mean anything to people like them. Eleanor shifts in the bed, winces, reaches up to touch his face. Stanley Walker. Listen to me. He looks at her. They can take your badge. They can take your job. They can say whatever they want. Her eyes are fierce, even now. But they cannot take who you are. Do you understand me? They cannot take that. His throat tightens. You're a good man. You've been a good man every day of your life, cleaning their floors, raising our son, taking care of me. She squeezes his hand. That's not nothing. That's everything. Stanley doesn't cry. He hasn't cried in years, but something breaks loose in his chest, something that's been held too tight for too long. I don't know what to do, he whispers. You don't have to know. Not yet. Just don't let them make you forget who you are. He nods. Can't speak. They sit in silence. The monitors beep. The city breathes outside. 2 people who've spent 40 years learning each other's rhythms, holding on. At 6 a.m., Stanley's phone buzzes. A text from a number he doesn't recognize. Mr. Walker, this is Grace Thornton. I work at Cornerstone. I have information about what really happened. We need to talk. I found something. You need to see this. Stanley reads the message twice, 3 times. Information, evidence, someone who believes him. He looks at Eleanor. She's asleep again. Breathing steady, heart rate stable. He types back. Where? The response comes immediately. There's a lawyer, Rachel Simmons. She's willing to help, pro bono. Can you meet us this afternoon? Stanley Walker has been invisible his whole life. A janitor, a face in the background, someone nobody notices. But someone noticed. Someone is fighting. He types, I'll be there. Stanley was at rock bottom, his wife in the hospital, his name destroyed. 14 years erased in a single night. But the truth has a way of rising, and the people he'd never met were about to change everything. The law office of Rachel Simmons occupies a converted brownstone in Lincoln Park. No marble, no mahogany, just bookshelves, coffee stains, and a woman who's spent 20 years fighting fights nobody else will take. Stanley arrives at 2 p.m. Grace Thornton is already there, so is Marcus Brown. Rachel spreads the evidence across her conference table, printed screenshots, email transcripts, badge logs, CCTV stills. Let me make sure I understand, Rachel says. At 1:47 a.m., Derek Callahan entered his office wearing the diamond watch. At 1:52, he left without it. At the exact same moment, 1:47, Stanley was on floor 12, 26 floors away. Grace nods. The badge system logged him at the janitor station, time-stamped to the second. And the email Callahan sent to HR? Demanding termination, sent at 2:45 a.m., before any investigation, before anyone checked the cameras. Rachel picks up Marcus's written statement. And you saw Callahan at 2:15 a.m. wearing the watch after he claimed it was stolen. Marcus nods. The diamonds caught the lobby light, couldn't miss it. Rachel sets down the paper, looks at Stanley. Mr. Walker, this isn't just wrongful termination. This is defamation. Your CEO publicly accused you of a felony, $45,000 in grand theft, with zero evidence. Worse, the evidence actively proves you couldn't have done it. Stanley sits quietly, processing. What happens now? Now we build the case, but there's something else. Rachel glances at Grace. Tell him. Grace pulls out another document. The debt collection email. The casino payments. The $120,000 deadline. Callahan has a gambling problem. He owes 6 figures to collectors. The watch was his way out. Sell it, pay down the debt. But he couldn't just sell it without questions. So he staged a theft. Made himself the victim. Stanley's face doesn't change, but his hands, resting on the table, curl into fists. He destroyed my name to cover his gambling debts. Yes. The room is silent. Then Stanley speaks. My son is Harold Walker. Grace blinks. Rachel sets down her pen. Harold Walker, chairman of the board. He's my son. Rachel exhales slowly. Does Callahan know? No, nobody does. I never told anyone at the company. Harold and we kept it separate. He wanted me to retire. I wanted to work. Does Harold know what happened? Stanley nods. He knows. He's known since the second day. But I told him not to interfere, not to use his position. Why? Stanley looks at the evidence spread across the table, 14 years of his life, reduced to timestamps and emails. Because if my name gets cleared, I want it cleared by the truth, not by my son pulling strings. Rachel smiles. Mr. Walker, I think I'm going to enjoy working with you. She picks up her phone. I need to make some calls. Harold Walker has scheduled a board meeting for tomorrow. Full attendance. Something tells me he's planning the same thing we are. The pieces are moving. The truth is gathering. and Derek Callahan still doesn't know what's coming. The night before the board meeting, Grace Thornton sits alone in her apartment. Laptop open, USB drive inserted, one final review. Camera FL38XX01, November 14th, 1:49:33 a.m. She's watched this footage a dozen times, but tonight she watches it frame by frame. Derek Callahan stands in his office. The desk lamp casts a warm circle of light. He's facing his desk. His left hand moves to his right wrist. Frame 1847. His fingers close around the watch band. Frame 1851. He slides the Patek Philippe off his wrist. The diamonds catch the light one last time. 36 tiny stars winking at the camera. Frame 1856. He holds the watch in his palm, looks at it. His expression is unreadable, but his posture suggests hesitation. Maybe regret. Frame 1862. He opens the top drawer of his desk. Frame 1867. He places the diamond watch inside. Frame 1871. He closes the drawer. Frame 1875. He locks it with a small key from his pocket. Frame 1880. He turns and walks toward the door. His wrist is bare. Grace saves the clip, exports it at high resolution. Timestamps visible. Metadata intact. This is it. The moment Derek Callahan stopped being a victim and became a perpetrator. He didn't lose the watch. He hid it. He didn't need a thief. He needed a scapegoat. And Stanley Walker, quiet, invisible, defenseless, was perfect. Grace opens the financial documents one more time. The gambling debts, the collection threats, the casino withdrawals. $45,000. Enough to buy 3 more months from the collectors. Enough to keep his secret buried. All it cost was one old man's reputation. She sends the files to Rachel Simmons, CC's Harold Walker's secure email. Subject line, evidence package, board meeting tomorrow. Then she sits back, waits. Her phone rings at 11:14 p.m. Harold Walker. Ms. Thornton, I've reviewed everything. Thank you. What happens tomorrow, sir? Tomorrow the board sees the truth. All of it. And your father? Pause. He'll be there. I asked him to come. Does Callahan know about your relationship? No. He's about to find out. Grace allows herself a small smile. How do you think he'll react? I think, Harold says slowly, that Derek Callahan is about to learn something my father taught me a long time ago. What's that? The truth doesn't need help. Just time. They hang up. Across the city, in a corner office on the 38th floor, Derek Callahan pours himself a whiskey. His third of the night. The board meeting is tomorrow. He doesn't know what it's about. Harold Walker didn't say. Probably quarterly projections. Maybe the Henderson acquisition. Routine stuff. He opens his desk drawer. The diamond watch is still there, exactly where he left it 5 nights ago. He picks it up, turns it in the lamplight. 36 diamonds catching the glow. 8 months ago, this watch meant success. A symbol. A reward. Now it's just evidence. He doesn't know that yet. He places the watch back in the drawer, locks it, finishes his whiskey. Tomorrow, everything changes. The boardroom occupies the northeast corner of the 40th floor. Floor-to-ceiling windows, a table that cost more than most cars, 7 leather chairs for 7 board members. Harold Walker sits at the head. His face reveals nothing. Derek Callahan sits at the opposite end, his attorney beside him, his confidence intact. The other 5 board members arrange themselves along the sides. Thomas Bennett, Margaret Hayes, Robert Kim, David Okonkwo, Patricia Vance. Let's begin, Harold says. Grace Thornton is called first. She connects her laptop to the room's display screen. On November 14th at 1:47 a.m., Derek Callahan entered his private office. The footage plays. Callahan watches himself walk through the door. The diamonds on his wrist flash. At 1:49, Mr. Callahan removed his watch, a Patek Philippe valued at $45,000, and placed it in his desk drawer. Frame by frame, the watch sliding off, the drawer opening, the diamonds disappearing inside. At 1:52, Mr. Callahan exited his office. At 2:00 a.m., he reported the watch stolen. At 2:15 a.m., he accused Stanley Walker, a contracted janitor with 14 years of unblemished service, of theft. The room is silent. Grace continues. Badge records confirm Mr. Walker was on floor 12 at 1:47 a.m., 26 floors below. He could not have been present when the watch was placed in the drawer. She advances to the next slide, the email to HR. At 2:45 a.m., Mr. Callahan instructed HR to terminate Mr. Walker immediately. No investigation, no appeal. Next slide, financial records. Mr. Callahan owes approximately $120,000 to gambling creditors. The watch would have covered a substantial portion of that debt. Thomas Bennett speaks first. Mr. Callahan, can you explain this footage? Callahan's attorney leans forward. The footage may be... I asked Mr. Callahan. Derek Callahan looks at the screen, at his own hands, placing the watch in the drawer, at the timestamp that proves everything. I don't recall the specifics of that evening. You don't recall hiding your own watch? Silence. Harold Walker stands. Before we proceed, I want to clarify something for the record. He looks directly at Callahan. The janitor you accused of stealing a $45,000 diamond watch, Stanley Walker, is my father. The color drains from Callahan's face. I didn't know. No, you didn't. Because you never asked. You needed someone to blame for your debts. Someone invisible. Someone powerless. Harold pauses. You chose wrong. He walks to the boardroom door, opens it. Dad, you can come in now. Stanley Walker steps into the room. Clean shirt, pressed trousers, the same quiet dignity he's carried for 68 years. He doesn't speak, doesn't need to. Callahan can't meet his eyes. Thomas Bennett clears his throat. The board votes to terminate Derek Callahan's employment, effective immediately. All evidence will be forwarded to the district attorney for potential criminal charges. Callahan's attorney begins gathering papers. The meeting is over. As Callahan walks toward the door, he passes Stanley. Stops. Opens his mouth. No words come. The door closes behind him. Stanley looks at his son. Harold nods. That's enough. 1 week later, Stanley Walker returns to Cornerstone Capital Partners. His badge works again. The turnstile clicks open. He walks through the lobby he's crossed 1,000 times before. The receptionist looks up, smiles. Welcome back, Mr. Walker. He nods, keeps walking. In the elevator bank, 2 analysts stop their conversation. One of them starts to clap. Then another. Then the security guard. Stanley doesn't stop, doesn't look back. He takes the service elevator to floor 12. His floor. His route. Eleanor is home now, recovering, strong enough to yell at him for working too hard, strong enough to be Eleanor again. Harold visited them last weekend. First time in months they'd all sat together. Coffee, silence, the comfortable kind. Why didn't you let me help sooner? Harold asked. Stanley shrugged. You did help. You let the truth do the work. That's what I taught you. Derek Callahan is awaiting trial. Fraud, defamation, evidence tampering. The diamond watch sits in an evidence locker. $45,000 of cold, sparkling proof. Stanley thinks about it sometimes. All that money on a man's wrist. All that destruction for one piece of jewelry. He picks up his mop, starts working. Clean floors don't clean themselves. He cleans their floors. He never touched their diamonds. And now, they know his name. If this story reminded you of someone who deserves respect, someone whose work goes unseen, share it with them. Titles don't exempt consequences. Diamonds don't buy integrity. And the truth never needed a title to speak. Subscribe if you want more stories where justice doesn't stay silent. We're just getting started.